Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube, on this Saturday night after a Knick fourth quarter performance that sent everybody for the exit smiling, whether they're headed for 34th Street or headed for the railroad. Headed on a night on the town, it doesn't matter. They will leave with smiles on their face, regaling the 40-21 point fourth quarter explosion by the Knicks that included a mind-boggling 21-0 run. 21-0 run in a playoff game. You don't see that very often. And honestly, this was a game where, other than the fact that they were having trouble getting their star involved the way they want to get him involved. Now, his stat line doesn't look terrible, 21 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds, but he did not have the command of the game that they want him to have, and he did not play the game that they need him to play to win. But it was an odd game in that regard. After three quarters, though, they were in very good shape. When you go back and trace this game, the Pistons got an incredible first half on the shooting from three from Harris, who had 22 first half points, and I think he finished with 22 points. Now, you don't expect him to score like that. No, he wound up with 25, so he did get one bucket in the second half. He had 22 at the half. He and Beasley, who you know are going to knock down threes. That's the idea. They want to get open threes. And in the first half, they got them. They made 8 of 11, those two. Now, you go in at halftime and you say to the team, hey, if they can go out and make 8 of 11 in the second half, you know what? They're going to win the game. They're not going to make 8 of 11 in the second half. And they didn't do that. And we know that. But what happened was, what they found, or what they finally absorbed, was where they were. They were up 8 points in the fourth quarter. Knicks have a makeshift lineup on the floor to walk out onto the floor in the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, they realize they're in the playoffs. They're in Madison Square Garden. And all of a sudden, the lights got very hot. This was not a case where the Knick defense was overwhelming. They did give you 2 good stands. They forced a 5 count. Payne did. And he had a brilliant game and was the difference in the game. The biggest star of this game tonight was not Brunson, who put up a good stat line, but I didn't think had a great game. Okay? It was Payne, followed by Towns, that were the best players for the Knicks tonight. And Payne, 14 points in 15 minutes. But when and how was the difference, because he took the game over and he turned the game around. He forces the 5 count. Then they get a 24-second violation when they have a bucket in the lane and they overpass it and get a 24-second violation. And all of a sudden, the wheels come off. And it was Payne and Towns in those first minutes in the fourth quarter making shots. Towns made a tough shot. Payne got hot. He had 11 points in the fourth quarter. He's knocking down threes. He's knocking down spinning shots. He's playing defense. Remember, he's got big game. He's got big game experience. He's got championship series experience. He's had his moments in the postseason before, and he comes up with a huge performance tonight, a tremendous performance tonight that turned that game around. They turned it around in those first couple of minutes of the fourth quarter, but a lot of this was unforced, inexperienced stuff. Detroit felt, when they got uncomfortable in the fourth quarter, they fell back on things that are not going to work for them. Bad shots, quick shots. They need to play the way they were playing, play ruggedly, and clearly they're going to play ruggedly. Push the basketball, which they did, get the ball in the paint against the Knicks, but they started hoisting really bad shots in the second half. And when you look at it and you realize what these guys did in the first half, and then look at their numbers for the game, you realize how much they cooled off after intermission. Okay, whether you're talking about Harris, whether you're talking about Beasley. I mean, Beasley had some baskets in the third quarter. He also had that shimmy in the third quarter, which nobody could have liked, okay, which I think if I was his coach, I would not allow, okay, in a playoff game under any circumstances. But, they got good play from their veterans tonight, whether it was Harris, whether it was Hardaway, whether it was Beasley, whether it was Schroeder. I mean, Schroeder took over the game for a while. He was driving Brunson nuts. He was scoring some big baskets. He drove him crazy at a point in that game. And you look at the stat line and you say, boy, Brunson had a heck of a night. 34 points, 8 assists. After coming out ice cold, he made some baskets. He got a lot of easy looks. He got some freebies on the front end of some turnovers. He got 6 or 8 easy points that way. He also got 8 points on the foul line. He took 27 shots, and he was exposed defensively. He's still on a gimpy ankle, and he tweaked it. He landed on a guy's foot in the third quarter. I think he landed on Schroeder's foot, but he can't have a bad game at 34 and 8 assists, but he didn't have a great game. And the Knicks can be better in a lot of ways in this series. And if you're the Pistons, you're their coaches, if you're thinking, okay, we haven't lost anything yet. Okay, they just held service and we led after 3 quarters. We just have to tie up some loose ends. They have to more than tie up some loose ends because they unraveled in the fourth quarter. OG did a good physical job on Cade. He made his life difficult. Cunningham wound up 8 for 21. I also thought, to be fair, they let a lot go, and Cunningham did not get a star whistle tonight. He got pounded 3 or 4 times where they didn't call anything. I would have been irate if I were him. Listen, everybody gets hit from time to time and doesn't get called, but he got absolutely. I mean, he had marks on him. He got hit so hard, and they didn't call anything. He got absolutely a couple of times out in the front court. He got absolutely hacked, and they didn't do anything. Hey, it happens. Okay, the bottom line is this is a game where Detroit can look at it and say, I can take some good things from this game. We didn't get the performance from our star that we thought we would. We unraveled because of inexperience. We can be smarter. We can be better. They can coach that. Now, remember, in a playoff series, the biggest adjustments are always made between games 1 and 2. Always, in every series. And if you're not making major adjustments between 1 and 2, then you're not doing your job as a coach. So you'll see major adjustments here between 1 and 2 of things that weren't liked. I thought the Hart foul trouble pushed Tibbs to put Robinson and Towns together in the first half. I liked it. I saw some promise there. Okay, he didn't go to it. Now, I don't know why Robinson only played 3 minutes in the second half. I don't know if he played too many minutes in the first half and he was, little sore, or something was up, or he just didn't like what he saw from certain things in the second half. But the bottom line is he didn't play much in the second half, but he played really well in the first half. He did a really good job in the first half. And OG had a very good first half, both scoring and playing defense. He was very physical. I thought Bridges, again, was invisible. I didn't like his game at all tonight. But, hey, the bottom line is I thought they got a very good all-around performance from Town. I thought they got a great performance, a really clutch, terrific performance from Payne, who had, when you come off the bench and give you 14 points in 15 minutes and big points, one right after another, turnaround points. They turned the game around with his baskets. Those were daggers he threw early in the fourth quarter. And the next thing you know, they didn't know what hit them. I mean, you knew when that was 98-98 that they were in big trouble. You didn't know that run was going to go 21 points, but you knew they were in big, big trouble at that point. And the Knicks went on to a comfortable 123-112 win. After 3 quarters, I was surprised the Pistons were up that many, but I said to myself, this fourth quarter is going to be very difficult for them. I didn't realize how difficult, and they made it a lot more difficult because they turned the ball over. I mean, they turned the ball over, unforced errors, bad shots, quick shots. I mean, really atrocious stuff. Now, Knicks need to clean up. Even after going cold late, the Pistons were still 47% from three. They made 15 threes. They're going to try to make a lot of threes in this series. And a big part of their offense is going to be getting Harris, who was 4 for 5 from three, getting Beasley, who was 6 for 12 from three, open looks from three. Hardaway would be the third option. He was 3 for 8. He's got a quick trigger. He also will force some. But they did get good looks from those guys. Cunningham never really, maybe a little bit in the third quarter, he got comfortable. But overall, I thought he really was not what you thought he would be in this game. And actually, he had played very well against the Knicks all year. He really struggled tonight, no question about it. Now, like I said, you look at it and you say, hey, the guy came in, first playoff game, went 21, 12, and 6. What are you complaining about? I'm not complaining. There's taking control of a game as a all-league player, or there's having command in the game. He never was in command of the game. And that's something that they need him to do because, they are star heavy. They have a lot of role players and a lot of veteran guys and some young guys around their one star. Knicks have a different situation. They got 4 guys on that team who can get 40 points, although Bridges' role continues to just sink. And I think that'll be a problem as we go forward. I think he will be a key before this is over. I don't think it has to happen in this series, especially when they get some of the bench performances that they got tonight. Getting a good lift from Robinson, especially in the first half. Getting a really good lift. They got nothing out of McBride, but that's fine. But they got a really, really terrific performance from Payne. Payne was on the floor for 15 minutes, and his plus minus was plus 23. That's outrageous. I mean, outrageous. I mean, every minute he was on the floor, it was positive. And he was the difference in that game tonight during that run. The Knicks put up 40 points in the fourth quarter. It got back to 6, and then the Pistons made a big mistake. I thought, even though they only had one timeout left, I thought they should have challenged the play on the baseline, where I thought Schroeder knocked the ball out of bounds off Brunson, and he wanted them to challenge, and their coaching staff said, hey, we only have one timeout left. We can't challenge. They should have challenged. I think they would have won the challenge. I thought it was off Brunson, but that would have been a very big moment because that was right after Cunningham had banked in that 3. Okay. He's not trying to bank it in, but he banked it in. And now they're only down 6 with 1:23 on the clock. The game's not over right now. They had just been down 12-13. Now they're down 6. And, it was getting a little antsy there. But after that, more bad shots, a couple of easy baskets, and a couple of foul shots, and away you go. So the game was a little chippy. It's playoff basketball. People are just marking their turf. Their coaching staff wants them to be physical against the Knicks. They want to use their veterans. They want to use their bench. They want to use a little bit of their size against the Knicks. We know that, okay, going in. They want to go a little deeper if they can. They're basically playing a hard 8. The Knicks are really playing what you want to call a soft 8. Okay. But Payne is, trying to force his way in to be a factor here, and more games like tonight, and he will be a factor. I think he has to rely on those guys. He has to give those guys a chance. And tonight, you got that with Payne at the start of the fourth quarter, with key guys that you would think needed to be in the game on the bench, and they responded in a very, very big way and went on to a 123-112 win in game number 1. As we said, hey, it's one game. Now, I thought the difference in this series would be inexperience home court, and just how you execute in the fourth quarter. I thought that would be a problem for the Pistons. I never thought it would be as big a problem as it was tonight. I mean, they were, I mean, they're going to want to burn the fourth quarter tape. They wound up with 19 turnovers. All right. I mean, and a lot of them were unforced, and a lot of them, and that's not even counting some of the runouts the Knicks got off terrible, terrible shots in the second half. So the Pistons did a nice job. Did a nice job throughout the first half. Did a nice job in the third quarter. We're carrying an 8-point lead, and they were 32-6 this year with the lead. So they had to be feeling pretty good. And the Knicks, conversely, had been very poor this year, coming from behind the fourth quarter. That's because against the really good teams, when the Knicks were losing after three quarters, they never came back. Remember, the Knicks this year have a top-heavy record, or a top-heavy record to the negative side, against all the good teams. They didn't beat any of them. And that's what weighs them down when you look at some statistical categories. I wouldn't carry those into the postseason. I really wouldn't. I would start with a clean slate for a variety of reasons, but I would start with a clean slate. So the Knicks get game one. Again, to me, without question, Payne was the star of the game. In just 15 minutes of play, he made all the difference. He did a great job. And I thought very active game from Towns. You know, that I thought it was a solid game for him. I did. First of all, he had 10 of 14 from the floor. He didn't get to the foul line a lot tonight. He didn't take a lot of threes tonight. I think he can play the pick and pop game more. He had 11 rebounds. He had 5 assists. He had 4 steals. Okay. He had a couple of blocks. Very active every way. Active on defense, active hands, active around the rim. I thought he did a very good job. I thought he was very involved. I thought he was engaged in his 39 minutes. I thought he did a very good job. I thought OG had a super first half, and I thought he did a very good job physically against Cunningham. He's the matchup for Cunningham, as we talked about before the series started, because of his size, because he wants to bully. He wants to get in that paint and either pass for open threes, lob it for a dunk, or take that little fall away in the paint. Let him take that. Play him straight up and let him take that. If he shoots 50% hit in the paint, shooting those fallaways, you can live with that. You really can. What you don't want him to do is keep throwing those threes out and getting wide open looks for guys like Beasley and Harris, who tonight were just, knocking them down with regularity. If they had lost tonight, they would have lost because of the way they made 3-point shots. They were making way too many of them. And that's a change the Knicks are going to have to make. And also how they attack certain things. I would not, I would stay at home and I would play things straight up against this team because of the fact that what they're trying to do is get their veteran 3-point shooters open shots. That's really what they're looking to do in their offense. And they're trying to play a chippy game. I mean, there's no question they're trying to play. They're doing a lot of bumping, a little grabbing, a little pushing. But it was that kind of game. It was a chippy game. Like I said, you're marking your turf in the playoffs. That's what happens. Okay, so, and always realize, never overreact to game number 1 in a playoff series. But the one thing about this, I don't think the Knicks will be impacted heavily playing on the road in this series. This is not like going to Boston. So I think that's a factor. So if you're counting on them to, drop the first 2 in the Garden and go home, and it'll be a different situation in Detroit, I don't think it will. I don't think the Knicks will be hurt there. That's why I picked the series in 5, which was most people were picking it in 7, and a lot of people were picking the Pistons. But I'd say the conventional wisdom was Knicks in 7. Well, Knicks in 7 is, I think the Knicks are going to win, but I don't want to look bad, so I'm going to pick them in 7 games. The Knicks are better than this team. They have better players. They have better frontline players. This team does not have a bona fide second scorer. You need that in the postseason in a big way. So I don't see this going past 5. And tonight, would I have felt the same way if they had lost game 1? No, probably not. I would have probably thought that, hey, there's a very good chance now it's going past 5. If you're going to win in 5 games, you usually got to win the first game. And they were able to do that with a one-sided fourth quarter that they are going to have to recover from. What you have to do if you're Detroit is you have to basically accentuate the first 3 quarters. Tweak how your star is going to get into the offense and ignore what went on in the fourth quarter from the standpoint of how negative it was. Just dismissed how unraveled and how much they just completely unraveled as a team. And just get back to, one possession, play it one at a time. Let's do the things we want to do, get on the backboards, be physical, and then run when we have the opportunity. Push the ball, get in the paint, be physical. And that's what they want to do against the Knicks. And it was working very well. I mean, hey, if you had told them before this game started, you're going to have an 8-point lead going into the fourth quarter, they would have said, where do we sign? No way would they expect a 21-zip run and a 40-21 fourth quarter decision. But that's exactly what they got as things just came apart in a very big way. Give the Knicks defense credit, give Payne and Towns credit for getting this thing jump-started, and then it was downhill the rest of the way as the Knicks rolled to a comfortable 11-point win, and had to be a frustrating night considering what the first 3 quarters looked like for the way it finished up for the Pistons. But again, you got to realize you got to play every minute of these games. Playing 36 minutes isn't enough. Playing 24 good minutes isn't enough. Playing 40 good minutes isn't enough. You got to play 48 good minutes in this game to win. Playoffs are different. It's not the regular season. There's not minutes where everybody takes off. There's an intensity and a finality to the whole thing. And you can see that right away. You can see that in the physicality. You can see that in the intensity of the play tonight. So a good win for the Knicks. Give Payne kudos for his performance tonight because it was a big one. With a also good performance for Towns. I thought Brunson battled back from that dreadful start, made some baskets, got some points. Obviously, he wound up with 34 points. You can't knock that, but did take a ton of shots. And I just like to see him accentuate being the playmaker a little more. He's going to take his shots. We know that. He's going to get his shots. We know that. He's got the ball more than anybody in the league. Nobody has the ball in his hands. Not one player in this league has the ball in his hands as much as he does. Not one player in the regular season or the postseason. So we know that. He's going to dominate the ball. He's going to take shots. He's going to get shots. He's going to get fouls. We know what he's going to do. I just think the mentality has to be a little bit more towards the pass rather than the shot. Well, we'll see that where that takes us in the games to go. So, step 1, a good one. Now, remember, obviously, we'll be following and we'll be on each night after the Knicks play. Remember, next week, draft, finally. And again, the Giants and the Jets are right in the middle of things. So, the draft, we'll do a lot of that this week. We will do previews, and then obviously we'll do a lot of it each day as we cover the draft. So it'll be a very busy week coming up. Draft this week, Derby next week, playoffs continuing. So a lot going on. We'll see you later.